Hi dear friends, click on the like button and the subscribe button, hit the bell icon and don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving the Chevrolet Cruze, and this is the original model. I think this is 2011, but it was launched in India in 2009 and it is the Desi muscle car, you can say. Desi because GM was very aggressive with the pricing. You can see the VCDI 16 valve engine, very dirty right now, pardon that. So some modification on this car, like the logo has been blacked out. Obviously it deserves to be blacked out because Chevrolet has done nothing but to blacken its face by leaving India abruptly and fooling a lot of customers. You can see the lights, well, they remained the same all throughout the life of the Cruze till it was sold in India till I think almost 2017, and it looks very aggressive. Love the split grille on this car, love the lights swept back all the way. I mean, this car looks so muscular, and back in the days when it was launched, it was the talk of the town. The wheels have been colored black on this particular car. 205 60 16 tires, again the Chevrolet logo there in the center, 2-liter badging over here. Definitely looks very nice. Chrome treatment on the door handles. It also gets a sunroof. So when the Cruze was launched in India, it got a lot of features which were like segment first. No other car was getting so many features, and was also priced very attractively. The Cruze LTZ written over here. This is the manual. Automatic came in later. Then they also had a facelift. They had an engine change as well. A lot of updates to the Cruze, but unfortunately, more or less, it remained the same. And even though the second generation model was launched globally, it never made it to India because Chevrolet just freaking ran away from the country. And you can see from the side, it looks very nice and purposeful. This is a car which is kind of a bargain in the used car market right now, and it particularly looks nice in white color. It also gets rear discs, by the way. So a lot of features back in the days which no other car was getting. Now let me quickly open the boot of this car. Here we go. So the boot is decent size at 460 liters, and the spare wheel is an alloy, which is a very nice thing. I don't know what that is, but looks kind of scary. I don't think I need to put the Annabelle doll in this particular video. So let's quickly get into the rear seat of this car. And the door pockets aren't large enough at the rear. Meanwhile, the seats are actually a little low but still quite comfortable. You get an armrest which is kind of small, and twin cup holders over here as well. Overall quality of the car isn't that great. Plastic is hard, and fit finish isn't the best either. Not much space when you push the seat behind, but otherwise decent amount of space. Slight hump in the center. 3 people will kind of fit in, but you know, this is a little hard. No headrest here as well. Big parcel shelf, so you can keep a lot of stuff over there. As you can see, the cabin looks particularly nice and impressive, and this is the original car which was launched in India, so it doesn't get the touchscreen and you know the updated system with mirror link and the addition of features which came in later. But let's focus on this car for the moment. Let me quickly get in front and show you what all is there. So it gets keyless go, it gets push button start, big enough door pockets, you know, you can keep a 1-liter bottle and it's already kept there. There is no dead pedal over here, which is kind of sad. There's space to keep stuff over here. This is for the headlight, this is for the headlight leveling, controls for the power windows as well as the mirror controls. And to lock the door, you have to press this button. Sadly, although there are controls over here which is out of place, it should have been over here. There is space to keep stuff over here, actually twin cup holders over here, and there's a big space below the front armrest as well. The glove box isn't large enough. I don't know how they have made the glove box, you know, there's this split thing over here. Meanwhile, it gets dual airbags. In fact, it used to get side airbags as well for the front. This infotainment system isn't that great. Newer models got a better infotainment system. Steering wheel is nice to hold. These are the controls for the Cruze. These are the controls for the audio system, and this is the stock for the wiper. Let me just use that and show you. 6 sprays. Cleans the wiper very well. Sorry, cleans the windscreen very well. I'm excited driving a Cruze actually. And auto dimming inside rear view mirror in those times. It also used to get a sunroof, although this is a very small sunroof, I would say. Meanwhile, there's a mirror here with the light. The light isn't working right now. No mirror over here. Nothing to keep a toll receipts either. I thought this will open, but it doesn't open. It looks like it will open, but it just doesn't open. There are lights over here. There's a light in the center here as well. The front seat is extremely comfortable, and although this particular car gets manual adjust, there was electric adjust which was added later on in this vehicle. There's space to keep stuff here as well. So in terms of practicality, quite a lot of space to keep stuff. The steering wheel is adjustable for both reach and rake, which is again a very nice touch. and the multi-information display, I mean, it is so badly made that you really cannot even see the odometer unless and until you climb up and try to check it out. Distance to empty meter over there, you see there's a fuel gauge. There's absolutely no fuel in this car. It's running on air right now, and there is the temperature meter. There's a tachometer and a speedometer. Obviously this is to toggle through the multi-information display, which doesn't really have much as such, but you can set stuff and blah 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 blah. Air conditioning works brilliantly well. It cools the cabin in no time at all, and it gets climate control system, although ergonomically it doesn't look so great right now. There's storage space here as well, so GM just decided wherever they saw some cubby hole, they were like, okay, let's put a storage space here, why not? There's a cigarette lighter here as well. By the way, there's obviously a big difference between the Cruise, which was launched in India, which is the one I'm driving right now, and the Cruise which got updates later. In the last Cruise which was sold in the country, which got a cosmetic update, there were no mechanical changes on that car. There was a mechanical change in between, but I think let's get driving to talk about it. Here we go. The handbrake is just huge on this car. Now let me turn off the air conditioning firstly. Here we go. And somehow the motor doesn't rev that freely. I think there's an issue with the particular car. That said, the suspension is on the softer side, so ride quality is brilliant, but the handling is very much lacking considering the amount of power this car has. It just doesn't put the power on the road smoothly. Here we go. As I give it the beans, you can see the motor just doesn't pull beyond a point. But I remember driving the car earlier on, and the motor was very smooth. I mean, the refinement levels are top notch. So this is a 2-liter diesel motor which produces 150 PS of power and 327 Newton meters of torque. And the problem with this car is there's a lot of turbo lag lower down. So peak torque comes in around 2600 RPM, which by the way is extremely late for a diesel motor, and that's the reason why this motor does not pull hard and fast. That's one big issue with this car. Lower down there was too much turbo lag, so GM realized this thing and they were like, okay fine, let's do something about it. So this was a sub 10-second car, so GM was like, okay fine, let's do one thing, let's make an updated engine. So they took the same engine, I think, or actually they revised the motor completely. The displacement went up by 7cc to 1998cc. This one is 1991cc, and power also improved. So the updated model produced 15 more PS of power, and the torque output went to 360 Newton meters. So the updated model was producing 166 PS of power and 360 Newton meters of torque, but however it became slower, although peak torque came in much earlier. So the peak torque was coming in at 2000 RPM, which was 600 RPM earlier, and thus the performance was much improved in terms of low end. So turbo lag was better contained, and the car definitely drove better. The issue was there were a lot of issues actually. I don't know, GM was sleeping while making this particular engine, because although it had a lot of power and stuff, motor wouldn't be cooled properly. The turbo was placed in such a place that it would heat up, so they made a lot of changes there also. So this one is SOHC, the new motor was DOHC, and it was very punchy and the most powerful car in the segment. Now I'll just show you how powerful it was. So like this one is very fast, under 10 seconds. The other one was above 10 seconds because it kind of slowed down, and as you can see, the performance is punchy. It gives you a kick in the pants feel, and it's so much fun to drive. The steering feels heavy at lower speeds, but at higher speeds it just doesn't weigh up. There is no weight to the steering wheel. It feels so lagging. I mean, there's something with Koreans making trashy cars when it comes to handling, at least in the earlier days. Now things are much improved, because this actually is a Korean car, even though it's called American, because Chevrolet bought Daewoo, and Daewoo used to make the Optra, which was sold in India as the Chevrolet Optra, and this car replaced the Optra and stuff like that. So this car would pull all the way till 200 kilometers per hour. I kid you not, 200 kilometers per hour, and performance was very punchy, but it just could not put the power down properly, and there was a lot of issues in terms of steering feel and feedback. Now at low speed the steering is heavy. I don't know why, it's just heavy and it doesn't give any feel as such, but at higher speeds it just doesn't weigh up. Here we go. This is a car which will actually wheel spin, and I'm sure you guys want me to show you the wheel spin, so here we go. Stopping here, revving the motor. Yeah, it does wheel spin. Post that there's some issue, it will not pull post 3000 RPM right now. The gearbox is absolute rubbish. I mean, it's the shittiest gearbox I have ever operated in a car, full of chewing gum. I think Wrigley's and Boomer and all these people have sponsored this particular gearbox because it feels so rubbery. It doesn't have good shifts, and the clutch is also on the heavier side. So in terms of driving experience, other than the fact that the motor is very punchy, there's nothing really much to talk about the Cruise, because although the ride quality is good, the handling is rubbish, and it just doesn't maintain its line over bad roads, in the sense that when you're pushing it hard and fast, and due to the sogginess of the suspension softness, the ride quality is good at low speeds. With high speeds it's just too much vertical movement, which kind of robs away the fun of driving the Cruise. But it has the most power in the segment. and the horn is nice. So because it had the most power in the segment, people really loved this car, and the pricing was also attractive. So when they initially launched, it was priced at rupees 14 lakhs on road Mumbai, and that made it a steal. But gradually GM kept on increasing the pricing. You know, GM is GM, so they kept doing that, and at one point it was costing rupees 21 lakhs for the top end variant, but obviously that was an automatic. Now this is a 5-speed unit. When they brought in the updated diesel engine, that was a 6-speed unit, so the gearbox was improved in the updated model, but initially the gearbox was just nothing but rubbish. I mean, how can they make such shitty gearboxes? There's something only General Motors can do. That's why they are known as GM, which is Government Motors or Generally Motors, because they make shit cars. Especially, I'm sorry for saying shit cars, but they make shit gearboxes. Even I had an Optra, the gearbox was rubbish on that as well, but the engine is so good. I mean, they get full marks for the engine from my side at least. It feels so punchy and nice and fun to drive. So like, you know, I can rant a lot and say a lot of things about the Cruze, but honestly it was a muscle car. It was a fantastic car back in the day, and it really deserved to be known as the Desi muscle car, which it is, by the way, because it's so punchy and fun to drive. The pull is nice, and somehow the lag was massive. There was so much massive lag that, you know, drivability was an issue earlier on, but they kind of resolved it with the updated engine. However, as far as drivability goes, let me tell you something honestly. I mean, I can live with the poor drivability. That's completely fine, because it's the silence before the storm. The Cruze's biggest problem is that the handling is rubbish. Okay, the handling is just pathetic for a car which produces so much power, and that's where it kind of lags. Now the ground clearance is 165 mm, which is good, but this car does weigh a lot. So the weight is somewhere around 1500 odd kgs, which makes it heavy. That's fine. That can be something which can be dealt with, but the turbo lag was something which really put off a lot of people. People were like, oh my god, it's so difficult to drive it in the city. Now obviously the automatic transmission made things much better, but it was this one, the old engine was a fuel guzzler. It used to guzzle a lot of fuel. The new one was improved in terms of mileage as well. So the new engine resolved a lot of the issues of the Cruze, but the original, like they say, is the original, and was more fun to drive, because like I call this thing turbo lag as the silence before the storm. I don't mind the turbo lag because it's fine. I can deal with it. Just pull the motor past the mid-range, or rather pull the motor past the low end, and you know you get punchy performance. Like right now, yeah, here we go. Steering has a mind of its own all the time. That's the only issue with the Cruze. So it's a typical fashion of American engineering, where you put in a lot of power in the car, but you're not able to put that power down properly. So the handling is bad, the steering is bad, although the ride quality is somehow good on this vehicle. So guys, this is the Chevrolet Cruze, which was much awaited, and it's also the first Chevy car I'm actually reviewing on my channel. And I know you want me to give it the beans yet again, so let me do one thing. Let me stop here and go hard onto the throttle. So here we go. First gear, revving the motor. Little bit wheel spin, and here we are. The red line comes in at 4,500 RPM, but there's a big issue with this particular car. Now obviously it is a few years old, that's why it's not revving past 3,000 RPM. And the mileage was in double digits, so 10 to 11 kilometers per liter, which was something it used to manage probably, and without much issue as such, as long as you are not hard in giving it the beans. So guys, this is my review of the Chevrolet Cruze, a great car which GM spoiled by being arrogant, by not giving it proper updates. They were updating one at a time. So once they updated only the engine, then they updated once the cosmetics, and I think this Cruze is the car which got the most facelifts ever. And even though the second generation model was unveiled, it just did not get into the Indian market. Anyways, the Cruze story is over. Now many of you will be like, should I buy a used Cruze? Please do not do that. I'm telling you, please do not buy a used Cruze. You're going to face a ton of issues. Spare parts are not going to be available. Now many of you will be like, Arey, Mahindra is going to do the service. You really think Mahindra is going to do service of Chevrolet properly? Mahindra ki gaadi ka service to properly nahi karte. Chevrolet ka bada karenge. So don't even get into that. If you want to buy a used D segment car, look at the Corolla. If you don't want power, and if you want power and fun, buy the Civic instead. Ground clearance is an issue although in that car. So that's it guys. If you like this video, you know what you have to do. Give it the thumbs up. That's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will give this more beans right away. It's actually so much fun. It's actually held up quite well, this car, which makes me smile in happiness. And there's so much lag. I don't know how they've managed so much lag in this car. It's like General Motors made this car and they did not even bother to drive it themselves, and they were like, oh, let's just launch it. But sir, you should drive this car once. No, we don't have time to drive it. Just launch it in the market right away. But sir, I think there's a lot of turbo lag. Never mind, we'll update it after a few years. And that's the story of the Chevrolet Cruze. Bye bye.